आरोहति
मार्जारस्य पुच्छं
पुच्छम् अशोकः
सिञ्चति
सिञ्चति अशोकस्य कार्यं मातामहः जनकः
पठति
जनकस्य
वार्तापत्रं
समीचीनम् अम्बा
शृणोति
अम्बायाः
आकाशवाणी
from this number 3
श्रवणं
and पुत्रः
तिष्ठति
पुत्रस्य
क्रीडनकं. Is he having a toy? I put it as Kiranakam. I'm not sure it's right.
That's right. Maybe
Padatranam or the Chashakaha? Because he's holding the cup. Eyes.
Originally it was supposed to be Padatranam.
Padatranam?
And Bakaha.
Sarati.
Bakasya.
Chanchuhu.
Mitram.
Samarjayati. Sorry.
Samarjayati. Mitrasya udanchanam. Putri.
Hasati.
Priyasati. Shashti. Putriyaha.
Panchalika.
Sakhi.
Kridati.
Sakhyaha.
Hasati.
Sakhyaha.
Kridanakam.
Okay.
So we have Matamahi Pivati, Matamahiyaha Chashakaha. So then Matamaha better goes with the Upavishati and Upanetram. So note that here we have purposely avoided Mata and Pita for father and mother, and used Janaka and Amba, so that the Janaka is like the word Rama or Balaka, and Amba is like the word Lata, Uma, etc. Okay. So looking at the this one Kriya Padam again. So we have tenses or Kala, Vartamana Kala, Bhuta Kala, Bhavishyat Kala, and there are other forms also. And in each Kriyapadam, in each kala will have a 3 by 3 table. Each row, for example, here, each row indicating Purusha and each column indicating Vachana. Prathama Purusha, Madhyama Purusha, Uttama Purusha row. Now this table here, just a quick glance at different forms of a Kriyapadam Patati in different kala. So if you look at a form of a Kriyapadam, here you take any Kriyapadam, for example, which one is easier one? Let's say, let's take, let's say, Bhu. Bhu is the root. It's like every nama pada, for example, we have already seen this. Rama, Hari, Pati, these are the base words. Every nama pada has a base word which is called Pratipadikam. Right? And that Pratipadikam takes different vibhakti forms, and each Pratipadikam will have a table like this, 8 by 3 table. So the base word is called Pratipadikam, which is Rama here. And it is important that we know the ending sound of a Pratipadikam, like Rama has the ending sound of her. So that is its identification in Vyakaranam. That's Akaranta means the Pratipadikam ending in sound her. And it's Lingam, Pullingam or Strilingam, etc. So this is a Hari Ikaranta means the Pratipadikam ending in E sound, and its lingam is Pullingam, and same, no change in the vibhakti table, same 8 by 3 vibhakti table. Similarly, if you look at scroll on, every Kriyapadam has a base word or the root word is called Dhatu. This is a very important concept in Sanskritam language. Dhatu, a base root of a verb. And incidentally, this root of a verb, which is called Dhatu, it also from there most of the Namapadas also that becomes the root actually. That becomes the base word. So though we say that for Rama, what is the base word? Rama. For this vibhakti table, the base word is Rama, which is Pratipadikam. But for Rama also, there is even further down, there is a base word. Okay? Base word for Rama also. Pratipadikam also has a base word. That's a Dhatu. The Dhatu is a very important concept in Sanskritam language, from which most of the words originate. Etymology goes back to Dhatu, even for the Namapadas. So from Dhatu, we have a branch derivating or forming into Kriyapada, and another root which goes on to form Pratipadikam first, and from Pratipadikam we have this vibhakti table. From Dhatu directly we have the Kriyapada tables in different Kala. Now when we say Kala, now one example I want to show. If you take the Dhatu Bhu, this one, Bhu, Bhu is the Dhatu here. And so we say Bhu here, Dhatu, and from there we have this different tables, 3 by 3 tables in different kala. So how many tables are there for one dhatu? Each dhatu will have these tables, same number of tables. So you can count here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So each dhatu will have 10 different tables as a kriyapada. So that means each kriyapada can have 10 tenses. Now, when you say tense, it doesn't necessarily mean kala. Some of them they indicate some of these tables indicate kala, and some of them indicate what's called mood or different other context. So coming back to this table here, you see the first table here, which is in yellow. This one. This one is vartamana kala or present tense. Patati, patataha, patanti, patasi, patataha, patatha, patami, patavaha, patamaha. This is a vartamana kala form or table of pat dhatu. Dhatu or the verb root of this verb or kriyapadam is pat. From pat, we have vartamana kala table like this or forms like this in each purusha and ekava, in each vachanam. And then similarly, we have the bhutakala form table of same dhatu in past tense. Apatat, apatatam, apathan, apataha, apatatam, apatata, apatham, apatava, apatama. Same thing, same verb root, but in its bhavishyat kala form has this form. Patishyati, patishyataha, patishyanti, patishyasi, patishyataha, patishyatha, patishyami, patishyavaha, patishyamaha. So these are the basic 3 kalas that generally a kriya happens. Right? It can happen in present tense, present vartamana kala. Kriya can happen in the bhuta kala, or it could happen in the bhuta kala, or it could happen in the future tense, bhavishyat kala. Now, there is one more table here for the same dhatu. This is not a kala. This is these forms, which is pathatu, pathatam, pathantu, patha, pathatam, pathata, pathani, pathava, pathama. These are used in imperative mode, like in English way, imperative, which is like ajna, do this, do that, instructing somebody. So in that meaning, these forms are used in Sanskritam. Pathatu means he should read. So these are not only imperative in the sense ajna or instruction or ordering somebody to do something, but also praying, like prarthana. Also, these forms can be used. Pathatu, pathatam, pathantu, etc. So he should read, or let him read, kind of thing. Pathatu, saha pathatu, sa pathatu. Similarly, pathantu, te pathantu in pullingam, taha pathantu pulling strilingam. Similarly, patha madhyam purusha, tvam patha, yuvam pathatam, yuyam pathata. Then uttama purusha, we have aham pathani, let me read, or I should read, aham pathani. And we have vayam pathama, avam pathava, vayam pathama, we should read, let us read. So in this sense, these forms are used. So ajna, prarthana, in these senses, this last table or last forms are used. And what is this on the top? I have written here lat, lung, lit, lot. Yeah, any questions, Subhashri? Lat, lung, lit, lot. These are technical or Vyakarana grammatical names for each of these 3 by 3 tables for a Kriyapadam. So each table or each kala or mode has a grammatical name in Sanskritam is called a lakara. Lakara. Lakara is pullinga. Lakara. So for Vartamana Kala, the Vyakarana grammatical name is Lat Lakara. Lat Lakara means Vartamana Kala. Bodha Kala is Lang Lakara. So we are not going to go into detail of what each Lakara is there right now. I also sent you the link in the email, so if you are interested, you can go through that. But for now, so the first Vartamana Kala forms, these are also referred to in grammar, they are referred to as Lat Lakara. These are Bhutakala forms are referred to as Lang Lakara. And Bhavishyat Kala forms are referred to as Lut Lakara. That is La and Ru. Lut Lakara. And this one is Lot Lakara.
Sir, I have a question. This Lot Lakara, is it the same as Vidiling Lakara?
No.
Or something called no, it's not the same.
No. It is not the same, means it could be used in a similar sense, but Lakara forms are different. Forms are different.
But the sense could be the same, right? I mean, the meaning, ordering or something like that.
Yeah. Order, yes. Vidiling means also should, ought to, must, in that form. In that sense also Vidiling used. Patatu is a superset of Vidiling and other Lakaras. Some other Lakaras, let's right now keep it out. But Patatu is a superset. It also denotes the sense of Vidiling. Means should, must. But whether Vidiling doesn't denote Prarthana, whereas Lot also denotes Prarthana. You are requesting somebody. Prarthana means request. You are requesting somebody to read. So then you can say Tvam Patha, Krupaya Tvam Patha.
Okay.
Or Bhavan Patatu, Krupaya Bhavan Patatu.
Okay, sir.
So, in the following lessons, we are essentially going to practice these forms. So, we actually finished today, right, looking at those tables. The next, what remains is just going through a few sentences and practicing the forms. The course has more than this, but part of the course is studying these forms, practicing these forms. Okay. So for Vartamana Kala, we already seen some examples. Right? Pathati, all this, Gachati. Now, Ajna, Prarthana, Ichha. So this is what I showed you before, which is Lot Lakara in grammatical terms. Again, we have Ekavachanam and Bahuvachanam. This is our focus. But as you know, there is a Dvivachana form also. That also we can study. So Pathato, Pathanto, we have already seen. But if it is a Karoto, Kim Karoto, what should he do? Karoto. So this is not Karatu. Pathato has a little different form. But when we say Karyam Kara, if its forms are little bit different. Karotu is not karatu. So this is a slightly different form. So we have to remember karotu and kurvantu. It is not karantu like pathantu. Kurvantu. In the Vartamana Kala, what is the form of karotu? Vartamana Kala, which you already seen before.
Karoti, is it?
Karoti. Saha karoti, sa karoti. In Bahochanam, tasya rupam kim? Kurvanti. Kurvanti. Tattu prathama purusha. Uttama purusha vachanam kim? Uttama purusha rupam kim? Karoti becomes ekavachanam.
So kurmaha?
Kurmaha bahuvachanam. Ekavachanam.
Oh. Karomi, sorry.
Karomi. So we have karoti, kurvanti, prathama purusha. Or you can also, while saying you can say karoti, kurutaha, kurvanti. Kurutaha is dvivachanam. Karoti, kurutaha, kurvanti. Uttama purusha is karomi, kurvaha, kurmaha. Obviously these forms, if you want to memorize or refer to them, there are books available, and I also provided a downloadable book on the site, old PDF books, but you can buy also printed books. Now, lot lakara forms, which are they? Shubhasri Bhagini, patatu. Patatu. When I say patatu, that is requesting. I am requesting to read.
Okay. Bhavan patatu. You should read or please read. Bhavantaha patantu. You should read or you please read. Bhakaha Bhakaha Pidantu. Is a walk. Chalantu. Bhavati Bhavatu. You should run or you please run. Bhavatyaha Dhavantu. You should run or you please run. And it's in the plural.
Yeah. Dhanyavadaha. So I think these are obvious. Any question? So same like the last exercise, this list has a same. Convert this Vartamana Kala form Chalati to Chalatu. The Ajna Prarthana, which is a lot lakara, you can convert. Likhati becomes Likhatu, Khadati becomes Khadatu, Patati becomes Patatu, Pibati becomes Ragumode. What does this become? Pibati. Pashyati.
Pashyatu.
Gacchati.
Gacchatu.
Then Khelati.
Khelatu.
Upavishati.
Upavishatu.
Nrutyati.
Nrutyatu.
Preshayati.
Proshayatu.
Preshayatu. Pujayati.
Pujayatu.
Shaknoti.
Shaknotu.
So the things are Jananti.
Janantu.
Kriyananti.
Kriyantu. Kriyantu.
Kriyanantu. So these are simple, but again, remember that some verbs, like which we have already seen in Vartamana Kala forms, they have like ya in between, like preshayati. So remember to add that ya. It is just not preshati, preshayati. And keep that ya when you convert that to lot lakara form. Preshayato, pujayato, marjayato, chalayatu. So all these such verbs will have ya in between. And shrunoti, shrunavatu. There is a table here, the Vartamana Kala Ajna Prarthana, which for your reference we can go through this. For as dhatu, dhatu is as, asti, we know that asti means exists, bahochanam, santi, aham, asmi, in the Uttama Purusha, and vayam becomes smaha. Slightly different form again, because this is very commonly used. One should be knowing these forms. So when we say te santi, taha santi, balakaha santi, so all that we can use this bahuvachana form, aham asmi, vaham smaha. And then ajna prarthana becomes astu, santu in bahuvachanam, pratama purusha.
What is Krina?
Huh?
Word Krina?
Which one? Krinati?
Yes.
Krinati means buying, buys, purchases.
Okay.
Grahannati meaning is aham grahannami. Grahannami meaning is
To take, grab.
grab. Janati, janati, knowing. Dadati, giving. Dattati, dancing. Pujayati, worship. Pachati, asking. Prapnoti, obtaining or getting. Roditi. Some of this list is provided here because these are commonly used, and some of them are a little bit different form. Like ahvayati, you know that yaka, ya is there in between, so that like pujayati, those are there. Karoti is a little bit different form, and then krinati is also a bit, and these are not, is krinati. Na, ha is there. Krina is not krinati. Krinati is there. It's not like pathati. How is it pathati? Like, it is not pathati, pathati. But all the other verbs are not necessarily in the same, exactly same form. Some are different, like krinati, grahannati. But there are a is there in between. Na, krinati, grahannati. Then karoti, o is there. Karoti, shrunoti. Then dadati is not dadati. Dadati. See, there is another thing here. Dadati is ekavachanam. Dadati is bahuvachanam. It's not dadanti or dadanti. The krinanti. It has anti here. Whereas dadati is a bahuvachanam. This is confusing. Just keep this in mind. Dadati, saha dadati, or balakaha dadati. Balakaha dadati. Bahochanam. Balakaha dadati. Aham dadami. Vayam dadmaha. Balakaha dadatu. Balakaha dadatu. Nrityati, nrityanti. This is simple. Nrityati, nrityanti, nrityami, nrityamah, nrityata, nrityantu. Pujyati we also seen. Prachati we also seen. Prapnoti. This is like shrunoti. Prapnoti, shrunoti, prapnuvanti. Now shrunu becomes shrunvanti or shrunuvanti. Shrunoti, shrunvanti, shrunomi, shrunumaha. Shrunotu, shrunuvantu. Little bit difference. Prapnoti, prapnuvanti, prapnomi, prapnumaha, prapnoti, prapnuvantu. Now roditi is roditi. This is totally looks different. Roditi, not rodati. Roditi, rodanti, rodimi, rudimaha, vayam rudimaha, roditu, rudantu. Bhavan roditu, you cry. Or you please cry. And rudantu, bhavantaha rudantu, you all cry. Please. Shaknomi, shaknuvanti. This is like prapnomi. Shaknovati. Similar. Prapnuvanti. Shaknomi, prapnumaha. Shaknovati, prapnuvanti. Again, shrunoti. Shrunoti is also here. Shrunvanti. Little bit different. Shrunoti, shrunumaha, shrunoti, shrunvanti. Any question? Any question or comment?
Yeah, so these are very, I think some of them are very irregular, like this Santi and those, right?
Regular?
So, I mean, they don't, I don't know, this Asti, Santi, they seem like they don't follow the pattern so much.
Yeah.
Somehow. And then there are maybe more regular ones. So are there, and then I think what we studied earlier were more, I don't know what to say. This is, there are more regular verbs. So are there many of these, like?
Yeah. That's a good way to put it, regular and irregular words. I think some English grammar books, they refer to them like that, regular, irregular. Yeah, so just at the high level, let me show you this one. So here, one thing is that we saw this, each verb root taking 10 different or having 10 different forms. I mean, 10 different tables, each table referring to a form in one tense, kala, or it could be a mode, in what is called a mode in English, or we just call it lakara in grammar. But then this you understood, I think. Now, whether a verb is regular or looks simple like this, bhavati also looks simple like bhavati, bhavata, bhavanti, patati, patata, patanti. This looks one regular pattern, whereas asti, etc. they look bit different, or karoti looks different, kurvanti, krinati looks different, krinnati different. So how do we, what is the basis of this? The basis in the sense they are in the language. There is no reason like why it is different. But in Vyakaranam, they are grouped into different groups. These are categorized into different, these forms are categorized into different groups, or words are categorized into different groups depending on what kind of form they take. For example, here we have prapnoti, this prapnoti, shaknoti, these are looking similar, right? And similarly, pujayati, chalayati, yo, where yo is coming. Pujayati, chalayati, marjayati, they are looking similar. Then these other like janati, Grihnati, they are looking similar. Karoti is looking different. Asti and Roditi, they are not looking like anybody else. They are totally different. So based on this, Vyakarana has identified some groups. That's convenient for us to study later. So this is what you find is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are those groups called Dhatu Gana. Based on the Dhatu Gana, they form certain pattern. So the ones which are falling in this first column or first Gana, Dhatu Gana, they follow a certain pattern. And then third, fourth, fifth, sixth, like that. They follow a certain pattern. So for example, Bhavati, Patati, Chalati, most of the ones we are trying to study, they have followed this number one pattern. Dhatu Gana. They fall in this first group. Then Dadati, etc., which Dadati is very commonly used, that's why we are taking up that example, but it falls in this third group. Similarly, Nruttati, Nashyati, so they fall in this fourth group, because there is a year added, not as is complete, but the first part is half. Nrutya, Nashyati, so they fall in this fourth. Swati, or the fifth group has Shaknoti, or Chinoti, Shrunoti. Shrunoti is a little bit different. The special case, we'll see that later. But they all look similar, like Shrunoti, Shaknoti. Then we have the Likhati, etc. falling in Sinchati, they fall in this. Pruchati, they fall in this sixth. Then seventh one we have special again, which table we have not. In this table there is nothing from seventh. Like Gunati, Chinati, etc. they fall in this seventh. And this eighth one we have Karoti. Those fall in this eighth. Ninth group. In the ninth group we have Krinati, Janati, Grahanati. Those fall in this ninth. 10th we have all the ones which are like Pujayati, Chalayati, Arjayati. They fall in this 10th. And those which don't fall in any of these, they fall in this second one, which is like Asti. These are very strange, very individual forms for individual verbs, like Roditi. This falls in the second. Asti falls in the second. Because they don't, even they fall in the second, they not necessarily follow a similar pattern, even within second. These are like very special forms. That is just the high level you can understand. Okay.
So basically, we may have to remember which this dhatu is coming from for all the verbs, then.
Yeah.
To know that. Okay.
Right.
And then the second maybe group is very irregular. Then the others are.
Right.
Okay. Yes. I think I got it. Thanks.
So if you go from this side, Vyakarana side, then if you start studying this, looking at this, yeah, they look like there are so many groups, and there are 10 groups and 10 lakaras, and then again there are 2 rows here which are not explained yet, but too many things are there, and again Namapada, too many things are there. One gets like overhung, or what is this, too much, it's so much complicated. Right? So, however, without getting scared from that, if we start reading, speaking, or then also reading, speaking, what else, listening, and then writing, if you can. But at least listening and reading more and more, then this becomes like you're getting more familiar with these forms. Then you don't really think of consciously don't think of, okay, whenever you come across like Krinati, you suddenly know that's a Vartamana Kala, Pratham Purusha Ekvachana. And because the word with which it is used would be like Sa Krinati, Balaka Krinati, like that. Then you'll immediately understand, and you don't keep on worrying about all these different tables and forms. But later on, if you really want to know each and every form, each and every table, then you can go through grammar books and just books with these tables, you can memorize and all that. But for general reading and study, many of these forms are rarely used actually. Like smaha, for example, the study of smaha, right? Smaha. This form is real. There are other ways to say this, and this form is not commonly used. Similarly, like dadatu, dadati, these can be used, dadnaha, but in the common literature speaking also, these are rare. Similarly, like rodimaha, roditu, these are not very common. Okay, any question?
Yeah, I watched the video you have uploaded, the Punyakoti video. That was very helpful. So, one question, is the Sanskrit Chandamama still being published? Any idea?
Unfortunately not, discontinued.
Okay.
But you can go to archive.org, you can find past editions, you can download and read it. So.
Thank you.
Okay, Ditiya Vibhakti, second case ending. So we studied Prathama Vibhakti and then Shashti Vibhakti, which is possessive, means Balakasya, Yutakam, Balakasya Kridanakam, those kinds of sentences we studied. Now, Ditiya Vibhakti, second case ending. This is, if you look at the table again, Vibhakti table. So there is a Ditiya here, second, Rama. Now, how is the Ditiya Vibhakti used, in what context? So, okay, so here this is Akarant, there is Akarant, this Napunskalingam, this is Pullingam. Pullingam, Ditiya, Rama additional object here. So when we say, suppose I say, Balakaha Pathati. Balakaha Pathati. What does that mean?
The boy.
The boy is reading.
Boy reads.
Does it mean boy reads or boy is reading?
Both, actually.
Both. In Sanskritam, we do not have this differentiation of this simple Vartamana Kala, simple present tense and continuous, both are the same form, means both. Now, Balakaha Pathati, a question arises, Balaka or boy reads what? Question comes. Now, to answer that, we use a Namapadam in its Ditiya Vibhakti form. So when Balakaha or boy reads book, the Balaka Pathati, the question comes, Balakaha Kim Pathati? So the Kriya is very important, or Kriya Padam is very important in any sentence. So we can just say Pathati. So what is the Kriya? The Vakyam is essentially a Kriya. Its heart, or the most important part in a Vakyam or a sentence, is Kriya. So the basic word, the core word there is Pathati. Around that Kriya Padam, different questions can arise, right? And like for example, first we can ask, Kaha Pathati? Who is reading? That is the very first question. The answer is Balakaha Pathati. So when the answer to the question Kaha Pathati, the answer to that question, that Nama Padam will be in the Prathama Vibhakti. It could be in, depending on the how many people are doing, it could be Ekavachanam, Divachanam or Bahuvachanam. Balakaha Pathati and Balakau Pathataha, Balakaha Pathanti in Bahuvachanam. Then accordingly the Kriya Padam also changes. Now Kriya Padam is already, we know it is in Ekavachanam Pathati. So who is doing the work will be in Ekavachanam. So Balakaha Pathati. The next question logical is Kim Pathati? What is he reading? Now that, so he is reading a book. What is the word for book in Sanskritam?
Pustakam.
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 Now Pustakam, we'll have to see what is its Ditiya Vibhakti form of Pustakam. So we'll have to put that word Pustaka is a base word, Pustaka, base word, and we'll have to look at its Vibhakti table and put that word in its second case, or Ditiya Vibhakti. So we have Pustaka, what is the lingam of Pustaka?
Napunsakalinga.
Napunsakalinga. So we'll have to take a look at the Napunsakalinga word here, which ends, Pratipadikam ends in A again. So like it is like Phala. We have Phala here. Phala is Napunsakalingam ending in A. So similarly, Pustaka is also ending in A, Vana ending in A, Jala ending in A. What else ends in A? Napunsakalingam?
Gruham.
Gruha and Vimana.
Mitram.
Huh?
Mitram.
Mitram. Mitram. Pushpam. Patram. Phalam. Toyam. Other in Udakam. Padatranam. Shirastram. Other. Now, the Ditiya Vibhakti, in this case, in the Napunsakalinga Akara, Ditiya Vibhakti has the same form as Prathama Vibhakti. In fact, all the Napunsakalinga's words, they have Prathama and Ditiya Vibhakti in the same form. Phalam, phale, phalani, phalam, phale, phalani. Similarly, Pustakam becomes Pustakam, Pustake, Pustakani, Pustakam, Pustake, Pustakani. Ditiya has Pustakam, right? So, when we want to say Balakaha Pathati, Kim Pathati, the answer would be Ditiya Vibhakti form of this Pustaka. What is the answer in this case? Pustaka.
Pustakam.
Pustakam. And how do we say boys reading books?
Pustakani.
Pustakam Pathati.
Tani.
Balaka Pustakani Pathati.
Balakaha Pustakani Pathati. Okay, Vijayanti Bhagini, Krupya Patatu Vakyani. So now I am using this full sentence when I said Vakyani Patatu. In this, what is the Kriya Padam?
Patatu.
And what is the Vibhakti of Vakyani?
Vibhakti Vakyani. Vak, is it? No, sorry, Vibhakti Vakyani is supposed to be Dvitiya.
Dvitiya, Vakyani Patatu. So I am already using that sentence with the Dvitiya Vibhakti Bhavachana form. Vakyani Patatu. Read the sentences.
Okay, sir. Saha Balakaha, he is a boy. Saha Syutaha, that is a bag. Balakaha Kim Nayati, what does the boy carry? Balakaha Syutam Nayati, boy carries the bag. Sa Nalini, that is Nalini. Sa Dvichakrika, that is bicycle. Nalini Kim Chalayati, what does Nalini drive? Nalini Dvichakrikam Chalayati, Nalini drives a bicycle.
Yeah. Now, what is the Vibhakti and Vachanam Vibhakti of this Kim?
It's Dvitiya Vibhakti, and this is Ekavachanam.
Lingam?
It's Pumlingam, masculine.
Kim?
Kim can also be, Kim is a neuter, isn't it? It's for boy, it's also masculine.
Masculine nasti.
What isn't it?
Masculine nasti Kim. Kim is Napunsaka-lingam.
Napunsaka-lingam, okay.
Kaha is Pullingam. Kaha. Ka is Strilingam. Kim Napunsaka-lingam. So because it is Napunsaka-lingam, Prathama Vibhakti and Ditya Vibhakti forms will be same. Kim.
Oh, because it's referring to the bag, so the question is tied up to the bag's son, isn't it? Oh, but Syuta is boy, right? The Kim over here is...
So yeah. So here, if we do not know, because this is a question, right? There's a question and we don't know. If we are looking at this and see that we already know it is Syuta and we already know it's Lingam, then yeah, we can ask come. But if we don't know what it is, we can just keep it as in neuter. So the answer can be in Pullinga, Strilinga, Napunsaka-linga, anything, depending on what word it is. But the question we don't know what it is. So then we can just ask him, which is in neuter.
Okay, sir. Understood.
Okay. Third sentence.
Sa Balika, that is a girl. Sa Dhuravani, that is a phone. Balika Kim Pashyati, what does the girl look at? Balika Dhuravani Pashyati, the girl looks at the phone. Saha Ashokaha, that is Ashoka. Tat Bhojanam, that is food. Ashokaha Kim Khadati, what does Ashoka eat? Ashokaha Bhojanam Khadati, Ashoka eats food. Then Saha Kapilaha, that is Kapila. Tat Peyam, that is a drink. Kapilaha Kim Pibati, what does Kapila drink? Kapilaha Peyam Pibati, Kapila drinks a drink. Saha Bhalakaha, he is a boy. Tat Pustakam, there is a book. Balakaha Kim Patati, what does the boy read? Balakaha Pustakam Patati, the boy reads a book.
So in all these cases, you know that Kriyapadam, what is the Kriyapadam, Nayati, Chalayati, etc., Pashyati, right? So all these Kriyapadam, they need or they can have this word which is in Vibhakti, Ditya Vibhakti, because we can ask the question on them, Kim. So Balak Nayati, Kim Nayati, Chalayati, Kim Chalayati, Pashyati. So first question is Pashyati, Kaha or Ka Pashyati. Then the second question is Kim Pashyati. So in the first question we have the answer in the Prathama Vibhakti, which is called Kartrupadam, or the subject. And for the second question, Kim, we have the answer, the word in the Ditya Vibhakti, and that word is, the role of that word is Karmapadam in that sentence. The role, this is the role of the word, which is what role it is playing in the sentence. The first word, which in the Prathama Vibhakti word, is playing subject role or Kartrupadam role, and the second word is playing the Karmapadam role, or the object in English grammar. So Kartrupadam, Karmapadam. Now let's look at some of the other Kriyapadam we study. For example, here. Saha patati, we know, chalati. Now the first chatram, there is chalati. So purushaha chalati. What is the karma padam for this? Ask the question, Kim?
Purushaha Kim Karoti?
No, full chalati. Karoti is a different one. Different Kriyapadam. For Chalati, can you ask Kim question?
No.
No, you can't ask. For Likhati?
Yes.
For Pashyati?
Yes.
Patati?
Yes.
Asati?
No.
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 So for some of the Kriyapadam, we can ask Kim question and get the answer. But for some of the others, like we can't, because it doesn't make sense, because the action is not happening on anything. Here Likhati, Lekhana Kriya is happening on something, that's what is called object. Right? So Sa Patram Likhati. So Pashyati also, what is she looking at? Patati also Pustakam. No. But Hasati, Chalati, they are not, Kriya is not happening on anything. So all the Kriya Padas, they don't have to have the Karma Padam. Only some of them they have. So that also there is a technical term for that distinction. So those ones which have the Kriya Karma Padam, they are called Sakarmaka Kriya Padam. Sakarmaka Kriya. Because Sakarmaka means with karma pada, they are called Sakarmaka Kriya Pada or Sakarmaka Dhatu. Dhatu means the verb root. And those which do not have the Karma Padam, they are Akarmaka Kriya Padam. They are Akarmaka or no Karma Padam. Akarmaka Kriya Padam. Like Chalati is Akarmaka, Asati is Akarmaka. What else is Akarmaka here in the rest of these?
Gachati.
And
Tishtati. Vahati, Dhavati. Upavishati. Agachati. I think that's it.
Vahati can be Sakarmaka.
If it is carrying, it is flowing, Akarmaka. Everybody agrees? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Only thing, gachati. Actually means, what is the meaning of gachati?
Going?
So,
Going, but actually, technically it means reaching. Reaching. So, think in that sense. So then what does it become? Akarmaka, sakarmaka.
Sakarmaka, then it becomes.
Reaching, right? Reaching something.
Yeah.
So
it becomes sakarmaka.
So gachati and agachati, both, they are sakarmaka in Sanskritam. So when we say he goes to work or workplace, office, let's say, he goes to office, then that office becomes a karma padam here in the Ditya Vibhakti. So thinking that karyalaya, taking karyalaya as office, how do we say? Purushaha dash dash gachati.
Is it now karyalayam?
Karyalayam. Purushaha karyalayam gachati. Here that karyalayam comes in the Ditya Vibhakti. Well, the karyalaya prathama, karyalayam Ditya. Similarly, devalayam, if you go to temple, Purushaha devalayam gachati. So, just remember that gachati, and gachati is used, karma padam needs to be used, and that karma padam is where, the destination of that, the person reaching what. That should be used, gachati. From this list, let's say all are covered except that bhavati. What is bhavati? Akarmaka, sakarmaka.
So is it this bhavati? Is it to be?
To be.
So it should be sakarmak.
It is to be, not to become.
Okay. So
Just exist. Yeah.
Then probably it's akarmak.
Akarma. Like it happens. Happens akarmaka. So bhavati is akarmaka. Okay. What else we have? Similarly, agachati also, where agachati coming, the destination will be there. Origin will be there, that will be in the Panchami Bhakti, which we'll see later. But destination will be in the Ditya Bhakti for agachati. So, sa graham agachati. So, she is coming home. Okay. Then, what else we have? Khelati, Kridati. What about them?
Sakarmaka?
Kridati. First question is, kaha kridati? Balaha kridati.
Balakaha kridati.
No. Khelati, kridati. If you are thinking like play, then it sounds like logical there. It's a karma because he's playing what? But in Sanskrit, you have to think them as enjoying. Kridati is like enjoying or passing time with that. Kridati, Khelati. If you think like that, then they are akarmaka. They are akarmaka actually. Kridati, Khelati, both. And
In Sanskritam, there are several meanings for words, right? That's what I noticed when I go into the dictionary.
Yes.
So depending on the context, I guess it can be a sakarmaka or akarmaka.
Some of them, but not khelati kridati. Like for example, vahati we talked about. Vahati has two. Vahati, tarati. There are two. Like tarati also float. That's akarmaka. Tarati is causing something that is becomes sakarmaka. But khelati kridati, they are akarmaka. And with what he is creating, that with what he is playing. That's how we have to think. With what, not what he is playing. With what? With what takes a different vibhakti, not dvitiya. We'll see that later. Later means they'll take tritiya vibhakti. With what? Tritiya. So we're not going to say kandukam kridati, not tritiya. We'll use kanduka in the tritiya vibhakti, which we'll see next later.
One small question. So this bhavati and then asti, are they similar now?
Similar in the sense both are akarmaka. Yes.
Okay. So is asti also to be?
Yes.
Okay.
That is a good question. But both are interchangeably used sometimes in the sentence, but they are not exactly same. So if you think of, like, let's say, balakaha asti. So, balakaha bhavati. Or let's take a different, better one, like suryodaya. Suryodaya bhavati, what does it mean? And suryodaya asti.
Does bhavati mean that sun is rising somehow?
Suryodaya or sunrise happens, and suryodaya asti means
there is a sunrise.
There is sunrise. So you see the difference there.
Okay.
So that's how it is actually. But many times it can be interchangeably used. Sometimes, but in this case you see the difference clearly. And this asti is actually just a placeholder kind of verb. Like even if you don't use it, it means the same thing. Suppose if I say balakaha or suryodaya asti or just suryodaya, it means the same thing. Suryodaya, because in the previous examples we have seen, right? Whether you use asti or not, like for example, if I say parvataha, what does that mean? Parvataha asti means parvata asti. It doesn't mean parvata bhavati. Parvata happens. That is a different thing. Whereas if I say just parvataha, that asti is like a assumed or by default placeholder verb in a sentence. Whereas bhavati is not a placeholder. It has a certain meaning, like happens. But in some cases, yeah, tatra parvata bhavati means we can say there is a parvata, can be used. But unlike asti, which is like a default placeholder kind of thing, which that why it is placeholder default, it will become clear in more advanced stages. But right now we can see the difference in certain sentences like suryodaya.
Okay. Thanks. And both are akarma.
Yeah, both are akarma.
Thank you.
I have one question. So, bhavati, I'm a little confused here. Bhavati is a reference to female, right? How does it become a kriya padam?
Sorry, bhavati is reference to what?
To a female.
Huh? Sorry, it's not clear. Muffling the voice.
Sorry, to a female.
I'm still not getting it. Anybody? Rajanamala, can you hear what is?
Yeah, I think he's referring to, we are using this bhavati as this sarvanama for female also. So,
Are you saying female? Raghumoda?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, slightly better. Yeah, bhavati is female. Yeah.
Yeah, bhavati is a reference to female. So how does it become a kriya padam here? I'm a little confused.
Ha. Yeah, now it is clear. What do you say, Ila Bhagini? Question is, Vijanti Bhagini. No. Question, did you understand the question?
No, can you repeat?
Raghumoda, can you repeat?
So bhavati is a reference to female, right? So how does it become a kriya padam here? I'm a little confused.
Bhavati was in that Strilingam, right? And here it is Bhavati, Kriyapadam. How is it?
So are these two different words now?
Bhavati is I think Kriya Padam has got no, I mean, does it get tied up to Strilingam and so on? Sorry. It's not like Namapada, right? Noun, right? Noun has got Stri, masculine and so on, but Kriya Padam does not get tied up to it, right, sir?
Yeah. No, this is Bhavati is a Kriyapadam. This has no lingam. This is like Asti, Patati, like Bhavati means happens. Like Suryodaya Bhavati. This has nothing to do with the Strilingam Bhavati. That is Dirgha Ti Bhavati.
Ah, okay.
Okay. So if you look at the Vibhakti table of Bhavati, it should be like what? It should be like Nadi, Dirgha, E, or Sakhi, Nadi, Parvati, Bhavati. So this one is, this is totally different forms like Patati, Patata, what we saw here. Where is that list? Yeah. So Bhavati, like this. What are the forms? Can somebody try? Instead of Patati, use Bhavati.
Can try. So Bhavati, Bhavataha, Bhavanti. Bhavasi, Bhavataha, Bhavatha. Bhavami, Bhavavaha, Bhavamaha.
Yeah. So these are the three, these are the forms. That meaning Bhavati means it happens. Bhavanti, they happen. Bhavasi, you happen. Right? And Aham Bhavami, I happen. Vayam Bhavamaha, we happen. So that Bhavati with the Dirgha is very different. That has 8 by 3 table like any Namapadam like Nadi. Bhavati, Bhavati, Shikshika, Bhavati, Vaidya, Bhavatyaha Namatim, Bhavatyaha Gruham, Kutra Asti. So those, that is different. Okay?
Dhanyawad.
Astu, I will stop here today. Dhanyawadaha, Namaskaraha.
Dhanyawad.